Hey, beautiful people. Dr. Eve here. Whew. Just open up the door a little bit. Get some little bit of light, sunlight in here. How is everyone doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm out in the seed house today. Wanted to have a discussion. I have not been coming every day at 1 because I'm trying to develop a schedule that is feasible for the work that we're having to do in this time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are here on TOLTM, Conversations with Dr. Eve, and behind the scenes for real. So I decided to come out here today because number one, there is a lot of work to be done, right? Is a lot of work to be done. And I wanted to just kind of get my audience ready to begin to thinking about what can we learn from the LA fires? What can we learn from the LA fires? One of the things that you know that I am very, very passionate about as a community health and human service educator is making sure that you are informed about food, water, energy, and shelter. Those are survival. Those are things that we need not only to survive, but to thrive in life. And as I watched those fires, it literally mentally drained me. It mentally drained me because for so long we come here as educators, we come here as compassionate leaders who are trying to teach everyone the thing about some of the things that we know need that are important, some of the things that we know are needed in a time like this. Because why? We are informed. We're informed about what's happening in the world economic space, in the world environmental space, in the provider space, right? So part of the work that we do, not only as educators who are informed by the things that are happening in the world, but to show you, to model before you some of the things that we need to be doing in order to be prepared. As I watch those fires, I began to think about, what I've created here. What should I be doing on the homestead? What should I be doing to make sure that all the things that I've invested so much time in are okay? Now we know that we can't do anything about natural disaster. Can we put some things in place that may help to alleviate or to keep us a little safer? Can we do anything to deter? Can we do anything to deter? Hi, Nayeli. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, okay. Well, so part of the things that I'm doing, this today, is just kind of today and every day is showing people how to prepare, right? One of the things that we want to make sure we're doing, we see like thousands and thousands and thousands of people are without homes right now, and not to their own, any fault of their own. It's because some things in nature happened, right? And we must understand there are some things that are out of our control, but is there anything that we can do? Can we subsidize? Can we have another space where we can go when a natural disaster happens? And one of the things that I think is important, and we have done for ourselves, is to make sure that we have another place to go. Like, do you have a safety net? Do you have a safety net, a place where you can go? And so that would mean, like having another property or something, but that may not be everybody's story, right? Because that's just not everyone's story. I am from North Carolina. Let me clean this camera a little bit because it is looking a little bit dirty. And I'm here in my seed house where I am sharing and where I share with people how to grow food, how to prepare for situations like this. How can you see better? Because it looks like the camera is like really okay. So how to prepare, how to prepare seeds. Let me just, just to give you a little glimpse into some of the work that I am doing. This is my seed house. I took a piece of my property and I began to build out a homestead. I, as an educator by trade, human health and human service educator by trade, does not mean that I can't grow chickens. Does not mean that I can't grow food. In fact, that is what I should be doing. That is the most sensible thing to be doing in a time when you have the knowledge of what's happening in the food, what's happening into the water, what's happening even when your houses, your shelter is no longer there. It is common sense to, when you have knowledge about things, it is common sense to put in some preventative measures and so that when something happens, it's easier for you to bounce back or to cope, right? So do you know where my phone is? Y'all so funny sometimes. So as a part of educating, I like to share some of the things I'm doing on the homestead. And what I can learn from the fires is that people, don't have. They lost everything. One of the things I immediately thought about was documents. Like when you are in a disaster and you don't have access. You don't have access to anything. And all the numbers and socials and documents and insurance and all those things are burned up. They're burned up. Your memories burned up. Your photo albums burned up. Their homes burned up. Their cars, everything burned up in those fires. And as sympathetic as I am, my goal is to come here and make sure that I share with you what can we learn from that and what should we be doing as we learn from these natural disasters. And I immediately, because I have a notebook, I have a book where I keep things for my children. I said, if anything ever happens to me, come look for this book. Come look for this binder, because everything you need to know is in the binder. And that would be things like your birth certificates. It would be things like your insurance, your deeds and titles. It would be things like your business information. It would be so many things that uh, but it's in a book. And so then I began to think, oh, but a fire will burn that book up. So what do I need to do? I need to have it in my fireproof box. So of course I have a fireproof box, but I had those documents inside of a notebook. I said, well, here's what we're going to do. Then I'm going to copy these documents and I'm going to put these documents, titles, deeds, and I'm going to put them in a little portfolio envelope. And I'm going to drop those things down into my safe, into my fireproof box. Because the one thing I saw, even there was this woman who, even after losing everything, she came back to her home and she knew exactly the spot where that firebox was. And it was probably in a closet or in a special place. And she came and she had someone with an axe who was able to dig up that particular space, even in the debris. She knew where that firebox was. And she was able to get that firebox, which had all of the things that she, not treasure or idol, but the things that were special to her rings and documents and things that were given to her. People have lost everything. And I remember what that was like when I was in the flood and I lost my home. A tree fell on it, uprooted, flooded. We were flooded, 100-year flood, and we lost everything. A lot of the things that we had were still in the garage in boxes. And because that flood came and it destroyed, the water was high. It came up into the garage. So it destroyed the document. It destroyed degrees. It destroyed all the things, pictures, old pictures of my children. A lot of things were in there. And so what I want us to be doing in this time is really to begin to think about your documents. Begin to think about your home. Begin to think about, you know, your keepsakes. How are you going to manage those things? Let me get my other glove because it is what? It's cold out here. How are you going to manage those things in case there is a disaster? So I'm out here today preparing to put some seeds in some seed trays, do some watering. Let me just share with you guys because I grow food. As an educator, I grow food. So this is my seed house. This is where I come to grow seeds. And one of the things that I do here is I have in this small space, I have everything I need. Things that, I'm overwintering, things that, plants that are overwintering, like my, you know, eggplants and peppers. And these are some of my avocados, and I have a bunch of peppers and stuff like that that I am overwintering so that come spring, these things will be easy to have. What are some other things that you should have in your arsenal? You should have, like I have this here. I bought this 5-gallon solar power shower in case, things go left and I have to camp. So, like, this is a shower bag, a bag where I could put warm water in, and it is powered off of solar energy so that it warms the water. So, in case I need a shower, you see him, he hung it to the tree. Whatever's necessary. It holds 5 gallons of water, and you should be saving water. Just for bathing. So those are some things. That's one thing. Another thing that is important to have is some, small all-purpose propane. Like these are small, really small, but and heavy. But these small all-purpose propane, these are good to have for cooking. Like powering a small grill, not a small a small container or a fire. Let me just show y'all because I can't even call the name of it. Let me just show y'all. Hold on. What the name of it is, because it's like a small. I am preparing to camp, and I believe that we should prepare like Girl Scouts and like Boy Scouts, because you never know when disaster is going to be at your front door. And so when and if anything like that ever happens, you want to be able to survive, because then you will be at a point of what we call survival. So some of the things that I keep in my car are, things like you want to keep a grill, like a place to cook, like a propane stove. That's what I was trying to say, a propane stove. This was a real compact stove, like it really compact. Like I can slide this under a seat in my car. So you want to prepare to make sure that you have some of the things you need in order if there is a catastrophe. Here's another idea. This one hooks directly to, this propane stove hooks directly to the actual propane the propane container. So it hooks directly to it. So you would be able to cook. And of course you want to make sure that you have some of those amazing cast iron, because those things can take any kind of heat. If you have some of these frying pans or pans that we use cannot sustain that type of heat. So you want to make sure that you also have a set of cast iron little frying pan. So those are some things that I keep in my car, as if I'm going camping, because you never know when you come into a disaster. And that's some of the things that I'm learning, just by watching the fires, just by watching what happened to folks. And so those are a few things that I wanted to share with you all. I could share so much. Another thing you want to have in your home is a solar generator of some kind, right? We have several types, but the one that I really love is when I come down here in the seed house and I have to do work. I have a Geniverse, and a Geniverse is a solar power. It's powered by solar as well as regular utilities, and this Geniverse is amazing. So it has its AC outlets. It has three of them. It's 1,000 watts, which is pretty good, depending on what you have hooked to it. Because some larger and some items will pull very quickly from this, and so this literally works on it's at 100% right now because wanted to get some heat down here because it's a little cold. But I love this feature that it has, a cigarette outlet, into it. It has USB ports. It has a quick charge, which is for like any USB quick charge. So that's really cool. And you can buy more batteries to go with it, and it sits right on top. And you can actually this is the one I'm using in my car, and I'm actually looking to buy a Delta Pro because for my home for the larger items in the house. So this is a really got good home power solar generator, and it has its own panels so that you can have solar energy outside. So those are three things that I think, or a couple of things that I think I wanted to tell you about today because I'm so concerned about all that's going on with these fires, and that I am so wowed. I'm so wowed by, what these people, what these individuals who all their lives they have prepared, and all was lost in an instant. All was lost in an instant. And so it saddens me to know that has happened, and it's actually geared me up to find out, look at ways to make sure that my home is a little more fireproof, right? So one of the things that I'm looking at today is my landscape. Here's one of those frying pans I was telling you guys about. This is the small one. I mean, I could literally put an egg in there. This can go on those little burners. That burner I just shared with you can sit right on top and cook an egg in an instant, right? So how do you survive when all has been lost and you're waiting for help to arrive, right? Will help even arrive? I think about the situation down here in Western North Carolina, where houses literally floated away, where people right now are still looking for help. And while they're literally outside in the cold, freezing temperatures. Like, it's not hot here, it's cold. It's 20 something degrees. And in the mountains, it's even colder. And many of these people are still without housing, living in tents. So I want to share things with you that I've been doing, and that's what I'm gonna, over the next few days, is just kind of, touch base on some of the things that we need to do to prepare. And one of those is making sure that, of course, we talked about the firebox, but then, having a bag packed. The fact that they in an emergency had to leave their homes, had to evacuate, and they had nothing prepared. Like, the fire was coming so fast that you can't even think about what to do, because your brain, who knows what that's like when you're forced to evacuate and think about, what do you do now? And I think that it's critically important for us to think about that now, before a warning of having to evacuate comes. One of the things that I've done is I have safety. I have a safe room where I know where things are. I know where things are. I can grab the bag. I can grab whatever I need. Some roll up pants. Living like a minimalist also helps, like thinking about how to downsize, how to not lose. Take your pictures and put them on, take, scan your pictures, scan the things, put so that you don't have to carry, take pictures of those things so that you know what you have in your home as well. Because even when you get ready to report to your insurance or to FEMA what you've lost, do you even know what's in the house? Right? So, one of the things that I have done is I put these things on my PFS, my personal financial statement. These are things that I own, and at any moment, if I take them outside and put them on a yard sale, they are worth something. So you have to, that is a smart thing to do that we can learn. And I really want us to, like take the time to learn from what is happening around us and get ourselves in gear, because all over the world calamity is happening, and at any instance it can show up in your city or your town or your state, right? Because that's the times that we're living in. We cannot put our heads in the sand and not think about the times that we're living in. We can have all the faith in the world, but we should also have common sense, right? We should have common sense. Common sense. So that's what I have today. And I just wanted to come because today, I got to get ready to plant some seeds to go in the ground for February. It's so cold. It is so cold. And one of the things that I have to fix, and I need to fix immediately, is the leaves. There's so many leaves that I was using for mulch. I'm going to show you this because they are a hazard. Things that are a hazard. Let's go on a little tour. Let's go on a little tour of things that are a hazard around your property. These are some things that I'm going to have to do and do quickly. Things like this. I'm going to right here at my coop. So here at my coop, I have my chicken coop here. Okay. Right? I have my chicken coop here where my birds are. But look at this. I put here a pile of straw. This is for me to use inside their coop, but it's also a danger. It's also a danger for fires because I have so many trees, right? These trees drop. Like this, when you think about a fire, you have to think, what type of trees do I have around my house? And what's the risk? What's the risk of these trees that are around my house? And so I have a lot of straw, right? I have a lot of straw, things like this, twigs. This is fire. And this is stuff that can catch a fire really quickly. Let's go over here. So I have lumber because I've been doing some work out here on the homestead. So I have a bunch of lumber, but I also have a garden, and my garden is like the forest floor. So I'm thinking, Lord, I have a lot of stuff on the ground out here that could easily be ablaze. And so I'm thinking about fireproofing. How do I fireproof this? Because I can't keep it wet the whole time. But my ground is moist. I can tell you that. I have a high water table out here. So the ground is very, 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 very moist. Look at my strawberries. My collards are all freezing. So I've moved some of the twigs away. I actually started burning. So I have a pit. And I actually started burning some. But with all the fires and the winds high, you have to be really careful because you could be the reason that a fire starts. So you want to be careful. So as I go through here, I'm thinking about, wow, how do I keep this safe? How do I keep the property safe? And so some of the things are gathering these leaves. I got a bunch back here, right next to the fence. Like, that's a fire hazard. But I need that wood because that's firewood for times like this. It's freezing outside. Also, low-hanging branches. See the low-hanging branches? These low-hanging branches are probably, All these piles of leaves are problematic. Leaves, anything along your fence line, that's all problematic. Like I have started pulling the leaves out. I started raking the leaves out because I was putting them in my beds, in my, because it's free mulch. And so I was putting them in these beds to cover the soil, to keep the soil healthy. It's a way, it's free mulch. Literally, I was putting this stuff in to make what? To make compost, right? So compost, your compost piles, depending on what you have in them, are a hot source. They are hot sources. And so we have to be really careful about, these things. Like need to pull all these leaves out. I need to get them all out as much as possible. Maybe make a pile and keep the pile wet. In my opinion, keep the pile when there's fire near, keep the piles wet. But I'm also thinking about, what if I put irrigation system, you know? I'm thinking maybe even putting an irrigation system next to the fence, so that if I put an irrigation system and a fire happens, and maybe it will trigger the water to come on immediately. But this right here is one that I'm struggling with. So we have to get these branches off of our house, because embers, once something catches a fire, the embers from that can get up under the roof, can get up under, you know, the get up under the house, and cause a fire in the roof, in the insulation. So those are all things that I'm thinking about. One of the things that I also noticed, one of the things that I also noticed, it's so cold out here. My nose is burning. One of the things that I also noticed was that the trees, there were some trees that burned and there were some trees that did not, and there were some trees that were full of water. So it's like, okay, what kind of trees do you have in your yard? So that's questions I'm asking myself in this moment. What kind of trees are these that I have? And so, are they water? Are they full of water? Do Can they cause fire? I don't know about the pine trees. I have not, thought about those. But I'm going to do some research and begin sharing some things with you all, because there are things we can do even when Mother Nature strikes. There are things that we can do. I also noticed how, even though many people evacuated and they had back in this room because it's so cold. Even though many people evacuated and were able to get into their cars and get out, some of the cars couldn't get out because everybody was trying to get out at the same time. One way in, one way out. Like, I think about that as well. That's something that my husband always mentioned, never wanting to live in a place where there was only one way out, because then you got a problem, right? Well, I'm grateful that my neighborhood is very small, and there's two ways out, right? There's two ways out. But yeah, so, and I saw how many of them had to leave their cars because they couldn't get out, and the fires were starting to, catch up with the cars, which means that their cars, if they were packed, were compromised as well. So there's a lot of things to think about when you're thinking about safety, and things that we can learn from those fires. I'm grateful to have begun. I have been sharing with people for some time now to make sure that you are prepared for whatever. Because to ignore the fact that things are happening is to simply, I don't know what to call that. I don't know what to call that. To ignore the signs that we're living in is just, it will compromise. It will cause pain. It will cause harm. And it's very cold out here. So I'm going back in the house, and this time I'm bringing my heater out here because I just don't think that I can do much out here because it's so cold. But I do have a heater and I do have my solar power. I do have that, and I need to make sure that I am okay out here because it's very, very cold. Um, Trying to figure out what could I take in the house to go ahead and get started on some things. I have a grow light right here. So I think I'm going to take that inside so I can begin to see what that looks like. I also have a mat. I have a heat mat. Where is that? Let me take that in the house because I have to do some starts. And I have a seed starting heat mat. So I'm going to try that as well. These are some of the things that I purchased to help me get started. I have some kits, some cell kits. I'm going to start using those to get some more green vegetables started so that when the spring comes in, I've got some clover, I've got some salad mix, here's the Kentucky Wonders, all kinds of salad mix, radishes, things that you can eat that's actually food, everyone. Arugula, things that people don't see as food, they see it as grass, but baby, when you hungry, that grass will feed you. So, um, yeah, and growing your own wheat. Throw some seeds down that, in that some of the space where um, wheat can grow, It's about preparation. It's about paying attention to what's happening around us. And so let me take some of this peat moss in the house too, or organic. Let me take a bag of that, this organic mix in the house. I'm gonna have to come back and get some of this permalite. I got a bag of that. This permalite, some grow pellets, and I'm using this organic seed starting. So I'm gonna take some of this stuff in the house with me. Let's see, I got my keys. Yep. Cause it's cold in here, baby. Woo. And it's cold outside. And baby, we gotta do a little bit every day. You have to do a little bit every day. Don't get caught. Just try. I'm gonna try to do whatever I can to make sure my family is okay, because if I don't, whew, huh. Okay, so I made it back into the house, and it's so cold outside. All right, guys, listen, I'm in the house. I am got my tray, my light, seed starting heat mat, and I'm excited to get started. Hold on just a moment. Let me turn this down. My girl is on. I really want to get back into crocheting. With that being said, okay. Okay, my girl was on. Asia, I love her. She does an amazing job teaching people, sharing her garden with the world and some of the things that she's doing. But I just want us to learn, everybody. We need to learn from what has happened with them fires. What are we going to do? How are we going to take precautions? How how are we going to take precaution for, even a natural disaster? Use your phones. Use your phones to take some pictures of the photo albums. Store them in a cloud somewhere. Store them somewhere so you have them, right? We do have that to our advantage. One of the things I did, my our family photo album was gifted to my niece. And so I was like, well, wait, all our pictures are in there. So I said, open that book, and I snapped all of the pictures that I needed so I could save for my family. My family pictures of people that I wanted to save pictures of. And I put them I took pictures of them. And now I have those pictures in my phone, in my cloud. And I'll always have them because I don't give phones back. I never give phones back either. I just collect phones. So I have phones with pictures in them. So I always have memories. And so I want y'all to really take heed to what's happening and see how you can prepare yourself. Like I am, my next move when it's maybe tomorrow because temperatures are really getting low today. So I'm not going to try and do too much more today because it's very cold. And I was out this morning and working on the coop because it is so cold. They were squawking. I've never heard them make so much noise. They and they're probably ready to lay eggs, but because it's so cold, they probably are confused. They probably are just as confused about whether they should lay the eggs or what to do because they're cold. And so that's an issue. So I had to go on top of the coop. I had to go up top of the coop to make sure that the plastic that I put on top of it doesn't fly all over the place because we're about to get some more snow. Here's another thing. This is a great thing I want you guys to be looking at because it's so cold. This is a body and hand warmer. Uh, Usually I have keep these in my pocket or in my gloves, but because this is an extra large size, I know that I'm probably going to have to buy some smaller ones that can fit inside of my gloves because I probably could have stayed outside a little longer if I had the smaller ones. But these are the bigger ones. These are for body and hands. So they last a long time. This is one pack. These are good to have for times like this because you never know. My husband always said to me, make sure you have a blanket in the car. You make sure you have a first aid kit in the car because you never know when something will happen and you need to stay warm. And so that was a really, really good advice. And I think that these are good things to have. And we don't think about it, but we should, right? So things we're learning from the fire. This is a really good. If you don't have them, I will also put a link in my description. I have used these. They are absolutely wonderful. So just wanted to share that with you as well. Let's see if there's anything else I need to share today. I don't think so because I just like to really take y'all behind the scenes. So tomorrow I'm going to be doing some fireproofing. I'm getting a load of dirt brought in so that I can put down dirt over those beds where I put the leaves because I refuse to throw the leaves away because they're free. They're free mulch, but they will also cause fire. So, because when they get dry, they will catch a fire. And so I'm going to I'm going to wet them. Number one, I'm going to wet them. I have a fire hose. I keep a fire hose on both sides, on the back side of the house, and I keep one on the front side of the house so that if I need to to water the front side, I can. But again, I put those leaves down around the house, and I did that because I wanted to use it as mulch. But after I seen them LA fires, I was like, girl, you set yourself up for a fire. You need to. And but what I did was I wet the leaves. Also, we had snow, we had rain, so they did get wet, but they not gonna, the wind will dry them. The wind will come right back around, and if you have a high winds, they're gonna dry those leaves out again, and they will be, but one thing I noticed about my neighborhood where I am, though, even though my house has a lot of trees above it, on the front side, there are no leaves on the trees. Number one, they're bare, and two, my neighbors don't have, like, in front of me. They don't have a lot of trees, so that they don't have trees on the other side. It's us on this side. We have the trees, and there's this huge bamboo section in the back that I'm kind of concerned about, because I know that's a whole park. That's a whole bamboo. Oh, Lord God, it's terrible. So I'm doing some research. I'm doing some research to see what I should do, because it's action is better than wondering. When you taking some action to see how I can, fix the situation is better than worrying about it. So for those of you who are here, thank you for stopping by. This is Dr. Eve, your community health and human service educator, and your host for TOLTM Conversations. What can we learn from the LA fires? I hope you have the most amazing day, and whatever you do, don't let anyone get in the way on your journey to becoming who God has called you to become. Prepare now, folks. Do not wait for a natural disaster. Prepare now.